Alrighty, fellas, welcome back to week 13 in the NFL season. We've already kicked off with Thanksgiving games. We've already kicked off with Friday's games for Black Friday. Kansas City Chiefs win again, hang down, whatever the fuck, keep it pushing, same story as usual. But we do have still a pretty strong Sunday slate here with some pretty good games that I'm looking forward to watching. We have right now 5 picks that we're going to go over for Sunday slate, along with some Sunday Night Football leans that I'll give you guys, but not official plays yet, but guys that I like where they're at so far. Not wasting any time, let's hop straight into these picks. We're going to be starting in the Pittsburgh and Cincinnati game. Now, this does almost look like a wash of a lot of unders. Everyone's like, oh, it's going to be a tight game. Pittsburgh's probably going to win. I don't really think so. Joe Burrow has played Pittsburgh very, very well in the past, and this Pittsburgh defense, as well as it is really good, they're going against one of the best offenses in the entire league despite their record. Cincinnati has not failed to put up points. They put up over 29 points on every top 5 defense they've played this season, and that's including the Chargers, who realistically, they just looked great against. They just couldn't finish the job. But today, we're not starting with Joe Burrow. We're not doing a Joe Burrow play. We are doing a Jamar Chase play, his 25.5-yard longest reception. You feel good about it. We'll bring it up on Props.cash for you guys. And again, if you're wondering what this is Props.cash. You can get it at 24.5. You get it 24.5, 25.5. I like both of those. Anywhere around the mark, up to about 27.5 is the furthest I'd probably go with this. But again, you look at it from an overall season standpoint. He's hit this in 7 of 11 games this season. And now he's doing against a Pittsburgh team, which, despite being such an elite pass defense, or a great pass defense, they allowed the 10th most deep ball receptions this season. Also, Jamar Chase has hauled in 13 passes for 318 yards and 7 touchdowns on vertical routes, goes, posts, crossers, not crossers, corners, and wheel routes this season. That means he's the third most deep passes, the 9th most yards, and the most touchdowns on those types of passes. And also, Joe Burrow ranks top 3 among all quarterbacks in completions, yards, touchdowns, passer ratings on vertical routes. So I expect Jamar Chase to see a lot of one-on-ones. With T. Higgins back, it frees Jamar Chase up a lot. And not only that, but we're going to really talk about the Steelers lead the league in single high coverage at 73.4%. If you don't know how single high coverage works, it's pretty simple, right? So there's going to be one safety in the dead middle of the field, leaning normally to one side or the other, but playing a middle of the field type of look, while there's 2 corners on the side, normally playing a deep cover 3 drop, a man coverage, whatever the case may be. So sometimes you can run a cover 6 out of that, move it over into a cloud 8, move it over to a cloud 9, whatever you want to do with it, right? But for the most part, it's normally a cover 3 look or some form of it. They run cover 3 at 40.8% of opponents' dropbacks. That's the 5th highest rate at the NFL this season. So if he's seeing a lot of single high, Jamar Chase is going to see a lot of one-on-ones. And we all know Joe Burrow is going to take those shots with those one-on-ones. So that's why we absolutely love this play. If he's seeing 2 or 3 or 4 chances of this game at getting a shot down the field versus Dante Jackson, who I believe is actually mid. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Panthers fan, but I think he's actually mid. We've seen it time and time again. He's got some lucky interceptions this year off tips, off a ball that was thrown directly to him, stuff like that. But I don't think he's going to be able to compete with Jamar Chase down the field. So we're going to take Jamar Chase 25.5 long reception. Also, he's one of the best yak receivers, actually the best yak receiver this season, ironically. So if he gets a big play, he can break it for over 26 as well. We like over 25.5, 24.5 longest reception. Moving on, we're going to keep this play pushing. We're going to go out of this game. We don't have any more plays in the Cincinnati-Pittsburgh game. We don't have any plays in the Atlanta and Chargers game, even though this game should be really good and a lot of fun to watch. I don't have exactly the strongest reads of where everything's going to go, especially with the Chargers now not having J.K. Dobbins. That no run game there is going to be very interesting. I don't believe Gus Edwards is good. Hassan Haskins stinks. Maybe Kamani Vidal sees a lot of touches. We'll see how that goes. But for now, washing that game out. Tennessee, Washington, next. Seattle, the Jets. Okay, we don't have another play in here either, but I am loving DK yards in this game. So if you want to take DK yards, that's fine. That's a big lean for me, as well as I like K-Dub. I like his rushing yards as well at 60.5. Hasn't hit this very often, but I think he has a big game here against the Jets this week. Houston, Jacksonville, we do have a play, though. We're going to go to Nico Collins over 84.5 yards. I took him at 79.5, as you can on books. But again, we're going to keep this pushing with a pretty self-explanatory reason. He's playing Jacksonville. Jacksonville fucking stinks. Let's be real here. Jacksonville has not been able to hit this line damn near at all this season, or hit any line this season, as they allow some of the highest receiving yards, the third most receiving yards, the seventh most targets per game, fifth most receptions per game on a per game basis here against elite wide receivers and good wide receivers. And you look at Nico Collins across the board, he's absolutely smashed this mark, right? He came back against Dallas, first game back, had a 50-yard touchdown called back, had a 30-yard play versus Tennessee. So you could take his longest reception and feel great about it. Like, look at his receiving long. It's the same type of aspect. You like to see it. Plus, if you can get it at 26.5, you feel great about it. So I like longest reception. I like receiving yards. I think he's a big day versus Jacksonville. Again, last time he played Jacksonville, he had 151 yards. So you know he's going to probably do something very similar. He's averaging over 9 targets a game. Houston needs to get rolling on their feet. They need to get CJ out of this slump. I think Nico Collins is a big part of that. He's going to continue to be one of the best receivers in all of football in a cupcake of a matchup. You'll love to see it. And with T-Law back, this could turn into a shootout. You never know. So that's where we're going to lean into Houston and Jacksonville. We're going to take the Nico Collins over. Dude, I have such a strong hunch that Anthony Richardson is going over 45.5 rushing yards. I'm not taking it myself, but it's a lean that I love, and I might take it later on. We do have the live stream tomorrow morning, and we always do our live stream play of the day. If you're not in those live streams, get in those live streams. They're awesome, and we have a lot of good banter going back and forth about picks, going over every single game before the slate. And we always do a live stream play of the day, and we've been crushing live stream plays. This might be one of them. I love this play. Not enough for me to take it, but I really like it. New England hasn't played any running quarterbacks damn near this season. They've had 5 designated run attempts against them the entirety of the season, despite, stopping most of them. There's been no real good running quarterback that they've faced that you'd be worried about. Now they go against Anthony Richardson, who, ironically, is one of the best running quarterbacks. Not ironically, it's very fact that he's one of the best running quarterbacks in all of football, and he gets all these designed runs. I want to see how New England could defend that. Now, Gerard Mayo's a great coach, though, so you never know. There's a lot of back and forth there. Couldn't quite make my own play, but I like that line. Staying in that game, though, we are staying in that game, because Jonathan Taylor is going to have longer than a 15.5 longest rush. I got this at 14.5. But I still like it at 15.5. Can we get it at 14.5? No, we can't. I like it at 14.5, but I like it at 15.5, but I love it at 14.5. And here's the reason why. So far, Jonathan Taylor has the second highest explosive run rate. Obviously, Saquon Barkley is number 1. We all know that. But he's the second highest explosive run rate in all of football this season. So he's breaking big plays. And we've seen it time and time again. He's rushing long 58 yards, 28, 21, 29, 29 in back-to-back games. Even against Detroit, who is the best run defense in all of football next to Kansas City, allowed a 14-yard rush, right? His over-under last week was 13.5 or 12.5 even might have been. I forget off the top of my head, so don't exactly quote me. But this team is allowing a ton of rushing long opportunities, right? They've had these so Jonathan Taylor's had the second highest explosive run rate, 18.8% of runs, despite him having the 6th lowest average speed per carry, right? He's not an explosive back like he once was, but once he hits that hole, he's gone. He's also an elite back. That's able to read these holes at a high level. He's generating an explosive run more than 2 times less often on carries between the tackles, 8.7% on carries outside the tackles. So when he's inside the tackles, it's not as high, but when he's outside the tackles, it's a lot higher. Why does that matter? Because New England this season has allowed 29 explosive runs outside the tackles. That's the 6th most in the entire NFL. Now, on the inside, it's only the 3rd. They've allowed the 3rd fewest. They've really been a outside zone. If you can get outside, you're going to be gone. Jonathan Taylor has been explosive on the outside. You like that matchup, and you think he's going to be able to take advantage and get an outside zone play, especially with AR now taking a man out of the box every single time. With Joe Flacco, it's a little bit harder to hit this line, but with AR, it makes it a little bit easier when you can have a quarterback that takes a man out of the box for you and helps you clear up that space. Now, again, like teams like the Jets sold out to stop the run. I don't think New England's going to do that. I think New England now, after seeing Anthony Richardson sling the rock last week, have over 70 yards in penalties called back. He would have had over a 200-yard game, have over 200 yards on the Jets. You have to respect them through the air now, at least a little bit, so they can't completely sell it like the Jets did and get burned. But I think New England's going to come in here with a solid plan, but just not going to be able to stop JT. So I absolutely love that line for Sunday's plays. We're going to keep it pushing here. I'm going to head to the Eagles game for the next play. Actually, we can go to the Rams game. We do have a play in the Rams, and that is Puka Nacua over 79.5 receiving yards. I got it at 77.5. And again, if you guys aren't on Pickett, make sure you get on Pickett this month. By the time you're seeing this, it's Saturday, November 30th. We are up 33.6 units in the NFL this month. You can't ask for anything better than that. We're up 33 units. If you started with $100, you're at $3,300 right now. If you had just started with $100 in the NFL, tailed all of our NFL plays, you're up to $3,300 in the NFL. We're killing it, right? And so yeah, make sure you guys are staying locked in. You're on Pickett. Use code BDGE when you sign up, because we're killing in the NFL, and we're gonna keep that rolling into hopefully December, and we keep it pushing there. But we had a great Thanksgiving, great Black Friday. But the things I really wanted to go over were just my bets right here, obviously with the NBA stuff. But again, Puka Nacua at 77.5 receiving yards. I got this on FanDuel, -113, so I got it at 77. I got Nico at 79. I got Jonathan Taylor at 14.5. I got Jamar Chase at 25.5, but you can take him at 24.5 now. So I did lose a little bit of value there, but I might double down on that as well before the live stream. And yeah, so we like those lines. Puka Nacua at 77.5. I like him at 79.5, and I'll live with that for sure. But we're going to go to that right now on props.cash so you guys can just see the image of that. So obviously Puka Nacua this season, you take out the Seattle game where he got kicked out of the game mid-game, and he's been crushing this line. You take out his injured game, right? And he's crushing this line in games where he's played over 57% of snaps, 106 yards, 98 yards, 123 yards, 117 yards. Hit this in every single game. Now he goes against a New Orleans defense that has been Swiss cheese to opposing wide receivers this season. You look at some of the guys who played. Jerry Jeudy had 142 yards on them. Elijah Moore even had 66 yards on him. Combining with that, Cedric Tillman had 50 yards on him. That's crazy. Darnell Mooney, 96. Drake London, 97. Jalen Cooker had 36 yards and hit his over on his line. Joshua Palmer, 72. Ladd McConkey, 111. These players are all hitting. Chris Godwin had 125 back then. Juju had 130 on them. Like, they are Swiss cheese. Look at all of it. You can't see it on this. Hold on, let me pull it over for you. Look at all of this green, right? When you're looking at this over-under right over here. This is where the lines were, and this is what they hit. This is a lot of green. A lot of wide receivers are crushing this line versus the Saints this season. And I expect that to continue with Puka Nacua here, who, if you are watching the Rams play, he's the clear wide receiver one. I understand Kupp is there for possession receivers, but he's catching every ball under 5, under 7 yards, where Nacua is catching the crossers. He's catching the vertical routes. He's getting post routes. He's getting everything you could possibly imagine. I think he's the clear wide receiver one in this offense. And again, you look at his targets, 9, 14, 9, 13. He's seeing a minimum of 9 targets a game, which is plenty of volume in this Matt Stafford, Sean McVay offense. And again, Howe has a perfect matchup versus the Saints. You really can't ask for much better than that of a matchup as the Saints are playing right now, which is horrible. So again, smash this line, and I think he's going to keep cooking, averaging over 90 yards per game. He's also seeing a 27% target share, like I said, so it's going to be nuts. I think he's going to continue to dominate here this week. Now, we do have one last play. Like I said, sadly not taking Bryce. I really want to take Bryce. Bryce has been balling out, but I'm not going to take Bryce. But the Philly-Baltimore game, probably the game everyone's most excited to see. I'm excited to see Tampa Bay, Carolina the most because I want to see Bryce Young cook. But community, Philly versus Baltimore is the game you want to be looking at. And Jalen Hurts over 230 passing yards. It feels fantastic. Again, we got it at 224 passing yards. Make sure you're on Pickett and locking that in. But on Underdog, it is 230.5 passing yards. And make sure if you're not on Underdog, you use code BDG when you sign up. I forgot to say this earlier. You get a deposit match bonus up to $1,000, as well as you get a free square for Josh Allen on Sunday night. So you got to take advantage of that. You also get a Monday Night Football free square as well. I think it's Bo Nix. So you can get that as well. But Jalen Hurts versus this Ravens defense that just gets torched through the air, game in and game out. They are the worst passing defense in all of the NFL, and it's not particularly close. They allow almost 300 passing yards per game. They allow the most passing attempts per game, over 39 passing attempts per game. They allow some of the most passing touchdowns per game. They allow the 31st most completions per game. They're allowing so many passing yards on this team. And quarterbacks have continued to crush this line, right? Obviously, Justin Herbert had a little bit of a lower day, and so did Russell Wilson. But Joe Burrow, Bo Nix, Jameis Winston, Baker Mayfield, Jaden Daniels, Joe Burrow again, all absolutely. Joe Burrow had almost 400 yards in both games in this game. Dak Prescott's another one. Josh Allen had a bad day, but even Gardner Minshew had 276 yards. Patrick Mahomes, obviously, week 1 had 291 yards. I don't think this defense is really figuring it out. When you look at Pittsburgh and the Chargers, they're completely run-heavy teams. Now this Philly team is a run-heavy team, but when you look at the overall schematics of a lot of these games for Philly, it's they still will be willing to pass the ball, and they still will have these explosive plays. Against the Rams, they didn't have that explosive catch. They didn't have that explosive, huge A.J. Brown takes it for 70 yards, where they do have that in most games. And since they didn't have that, Saquon Barkley did that. Now, do I think Saquon Barkley is going to do that against Baltimore, who Baltimore, when you go to running backs, have some of the fewest rushing yards per game, second lowest rushing yards per game, fourth lowest rushing attempts. So is Saquon going to see that volume on the ground as much as he might see it through the air, through screen plays and other stuff? Probably not. So we look at Jalen Hurts. I feel like this is a great matchup. Now, Saquon Barkley is an anomaly. He could do literally whatever he wants and be fine. I understand that. But I think if we're going off matchup base, we're trying to make the best predictions, trying to make the best plays for bets. I think Jalen Hurts in this game script is going to have to throw the ball a lot if they want to win this game. And this is a must-win game for them to just establish that they are legit, right? If they win this game, they are legit. You can't take it away from them. And they are rolling at all levels. Also, their defense is playing out of their mind. This is an improving game for Lamar Jackson as well. If he wants that MVP over someone like Saquon, this is the MVP game. So we're going to see how it all turns out here today. And I think Jalen Hurts has a big day, despite the MVP conversations with Saquon. I think he's going to absolutely pop off. So those are the 5 main plays we have, right? Jalen Hurts, Puka Nacua, Jonathan Taylor, Nico Collins, and Jamar Chase. We absolutely love those lines. And now some Sunday Night Football just leans that I like. I'll get into those. I like Josh Allen over his passing yards at 222. I so fucking love. Like, when is Josh Allen ever thrown for this? I get the weather concerns. I understand. So it's like maybe not. So maybe we don't lean that, but it's a lean. 19-2 in December. Has cursed this line 5 of the last 5 games. I don't know whether it really matters. He's cooked this, again, 7 of 10 games this season. He's Josh Allen going against a banged-up San Francisco team in a game where they just want to keep it rolling, just got engaged. Never know, but that's all narrative, right? Deebo Samuel under receiving yards. Anything. You can take anything he's under on receiving yards. I feel like that's a great play. Banged-up quarterback. He's hit under this in 2 of the past 3 games since Christian McCaffrey's return and take away a lot of usage for him. And Buffalo has his 7th fewest receiving yards in general. Bad in Buffalo, so it's going to be tough for San Francisco in general just there. And then also James Cook to score an anytime touchdown. That, I don't have it here, but that feels like a fantastic line as well, which I'm probably definitely going to be taking. San Francisco allows the 2nd most rushing touchdowns to opposing running backs this season. They've allowed 6 of the last 6 starting running backs to go over this line. Yeah, he's cooked. 7 of the last 10 games, he's scored a touchdown. So you absolutely love that mark as well, but we are going to be sticking with the 5 plays we had here today. Oops, I accidentally got rid of Jalen Hurts. Let's put that one back. Yeah, so that's all the plays I'm going to go over today. Make sure if you guys aren't in the live stream, get in the live stream before game time. We go over more plays and all the scripts there as well for the games and how we think it's going to play out. Other than that, I'll catch you guys next time back when I'm back in my normal studio. I'll be back from home, so that'll be good. And yeah, I'll catch you guys next time. Appreciate you all for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe on your way out. It's the easiest way to support the channel. I'll catch you next time. Peace.